Hi everyone, welcome back to Returning to Basics. I wanted to put out a little update about my greenhouse. I've made statements in other videos that when we were out here and everything was wilted about how things would wilt whenever it got hot. And also there was been a video about trying to get more ventilation in here. But during the cool of the evening, everything perked back up. Well, today it's about 78 degrees, overcast, wonderful day. I mean, it's perfect to be out here and work. And I thought I'd come out and clean up and get a lot of stuff ready for winter. And I thought, well, I'm just going to put out another video about how perky everything is in this cool weather. Look at the Swiss chard. In fact, I'm going to have to get out here and do some harvesting pretty soon because there's so much. And also, over here in the grow tubes, they're all perky as well. Y'all seen them recently, all just wilted and looking so bad. And I wanted to show you what they look like in cool weather. These will grow all winter. The big one is actually an old one from a year and a half ago, I believe now, as are the ones over here. And I raised them in a hydroponics Miracle Grow machine that Neil gave me 2 Christmases ago, I believe. And then I brought them out here and planted them. And they're still putting out. I have lost a few, but for the most part, they're thriving. You harvest leaves, you saute them with onion, they're wonderful. Eat them in salads, it's wonderful. I really had never had any experience or had tasted Swiss chard until I started doing this. And I'm very pleased with it. Easy to grow. Loves water, so it works great in aquaponics. And it is doing fabulous. I intend to raise some more. Some of these here, this one and this one and 2 other ones on down here are actually rather young. They're about a month and a half old now. So I will be filling the rest of this up. I have plenty of space. These are just little cups. I actually plant them in pea gravel down in one of these little 5-ounce cups. And I have plenty of space for more. I put the cups in here when I don't have a plant to help prevent, number one, the little frogs getting in. We have a good crop of green tree frogs. The other thing is it helps to prevent water evaporation. And during the hot part of the summer, this massive tank takes a lot of water, especially, you got your fish going in there. So we'll let it drop 3-4 inches and then we put more rainwater in it. So I wanted you to know that evaporation is a big issue and you need to think that through if you're going to do an aquaponics system. You need to have, in the hot part of summer, some way to get good clean water. Tap water is not great. It's got chemicals in it, chlorine, fluoride. So we catch rainwater to keep the tank filled up. The other thing that I have out here, that these will be going inside, are aloe vera plants. I wanted to have aloe vera just as a precaution. I mean, it's great for scrapes and cuts and things like that. And just to have it in your medicine box, so to speak. So, I bought some at a big box store, put them in a long rectangular window box style pot, and put them in my sunroom. And I used the succulent soil, and for a year, they pretty much stayed the same size. They didn't die, but they were nothing like these. And so early this summer, we have a Facebook page for our subdivision, and a lady posted that she had aloe vera plants and she had subdivided them and wanted to give them away to anybody that was interested. Well, I got 3 pots. Well, I've already put one in sunroom, and these will be going in here in a minute. But I was stunned at how healthy these were. And I asked her, I said, you know, what do you do? How do you care for them? Mine are not thriving like this. And she said, well, I just put them in soil and they get morning sun and keep them watered. Well, I brought these back and put them out here. And of course, with it being so hot, I watered them quite a bit more. So I thought, well, wonder if mine need more. I would not think that a succulent would need as much water as what I was putting on these. And so I thought, well, it's all a big experiment, so let's give it a try. And I started watering the ones I had in the house. And in the last 4 months, they've doubled in size. So that was one thing I really didn't research that good, and I just ended up experimenting with it. So it would pay when you're trying something new to really see what you can find out online about how much water things take, what temperature they like the best, how much sun is required. Not all plants need the same amount of water or sun, or a different kind of soil. So I'm topping the soil off on these, and so I wanted to show you how lively these are. I actually have aloe vera babies coming up off of these plants. There's another one back over here. So they're just really healthy. I'm very tickled at how well they've done, and I'm going to protect them in the sunroom this winter. Here's another plant that I have out in the greenhouse. It's called purslane, and most people consider it a weed, but I have read that it's edible. And so I found seed and purchased seed, so I know that that is exactly what this is. I didn't dig it up in the yard or anything. And I thought I would let it. It didn't do as well as I thought it would this summer, but it may have been a water issue. But it's thriving now. It has doubled in the last month. It's doubled in size. So I'm anxious to try it. We'll see. I wanted to let it get pretty grown, healthy, before I started pruning anything off to try. So that's another experiment. As I've said before, gardening is all a big experiment. So this was another one of my little projects I wanted to try. And just so you know, squirrels absolutely love this plant. I bought some, little fun story. I bought 3, paid a good price for them. They were healthy, good size at a nursery. And set them on the patio, good sun, somewhere I'd notice and remember to water. One disappeared, eaten off at the ground. I thought, well, it is on the ground. Maybe a rabbit got it. So I brought the other 2 in here and set them on the workbench over here. And the second one was eaten off at the ground. And I thought, well, it wasn't a rabbit, that's for sure. Not based on where it's sitting. So then the third one that was eaten, I caught the squirrel out here in the greenhouse. And I shut the door. We didn't have this screen that's covering the door. This year we added that. It helps keep the birds out. We found birds in here that had died, and we'd catch some out here, and it was hard to get them out. They just couldn't find their way out. But at that time, I didn't have anything. I just leave the door open because it gets so hot out here. And I just walked over. I heard him, saw him through the side glass, eased over and closed the door. Went in and got Neil. I said, Neil, I know what's eating the purslane. It's a squirrel. He's out there now. I shut the door. So Neil came out here, And he's about to open the door, and I said, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And he said, well, why? Because the squirrel had just been bouncing off the walls, basically. And I said, when you open that door, it's coming out. And so he stepped to the side and slid the door open, and sure enough, it would have hit him right in the face. That squirrel was scared to death and coming out. So anyway, this time I hung it on this little pot from a board, and I thought, well, it could still get in here and get to it if it just really wanted to, but it's more likely to try to get on stuff that's on the workbench and such. So far, it has not been eaten on, and I still have it. But I would have loved to have had my camera to catch the look on Neil's face when that squirrel came flying out the door. I also wanted to show you my strawberries. I started with 6 plants in 2 big pots. And after they had a good summer of bearing, they started putting out runners, and I started putting little pots all around them. And as you can see, I have little pots all along the front. I would really appreciate your comments about what I should do now. I've never had them in pots, and at the time we didn't have the raised beds, so I'm trying to decide, do I move them to the raised beds for the winter, cover them in hay? Do I leave them in the pots and put them in the sunroom? If you have any suggestions, I would really, really appreciate it, because I have a whole lot of strawberry plants. I'll have an abundant harvest next year. And I will be taking my parsley and my lemon balm into the greenhouse. I mean the sunroom. But I also wanted to show you this. A family member has a walnut tree. And we visited, and I said, oh, look, that is a walnut tree. She said, yeah, it's dropping walnuts everywhere. And these, as you can see on this one here, it still has some green on it. You do not want to be under the tree when one of these falls, because they are a pretty good size. And they have shrunk quite a bit. And I said, well, I love walnuts. I would really like to try these and see how they compare to store-bought. So she said, well, just take all of them you want. So we took, I think it was 20. And we just laid them on this little greenhouse frame. It used to have plastic over it. It's long gone. But then suddenly I only had 19. And I found the hole over on the other side of the greenhouse on the walk. And then there was 18. So this is a animal trap that my father-in-law had. And I said, you know, we've got to put those in something or they're going to keep disappearing. So I said, how about bringing the animal trap over here? Not to catch them, but to keep them from eating my walnuts. So far, this is working. My mother-in-law told me that they needed to really shrivel up, turn completely black, and whatever you do, don't touch them without gloves on because they will turn your hands black. She grew up around a black walnut tree. So we're going to give that a try here before long and see how these compare to store-bought. Another thing I wanted to mention today is another experiment for next spring. These are tubs that we have been given us that had mineral lick in it. They had cattle, and they have lots of these, and they said, you know, just as many as you want. They still had the stickers on the side. We could tell what was in them, and they were mineral licks. They're probably about 30 gallons a piece, and I have 12. So I have a spot that I was wanting to try this in. I did clean them with Dawn. I washed them good inside and out because they'd been stored a while on a farm. And I thought, you know, I don't know what they were exposed to. And so I cleaned them. I stacked them after they dried and covered them for the winter. We did drill 9 to 10 holes in the bottom, about an inch big. No, half inch, I'd say. And so we're anxious to try this. I have no idea about the composition of what I'm going to put in them, dirt-wise. I don't know how much it's going to take. I want to put really good soil, like compost, a lot of compost in it. So we'll give it a try next spring, and I may get around this fall to actually filling one up. I'd really love to incorporate a lot of leaf mulch. So we'll see whenever the leaves start coming off. We'll mulch a bunch of leaves. I do know that based on what we experienced with the raised beds, that over the course of the summer, the leaf mulch really disintegrated like we wanted it to, but it shrunk down. So when we started out, the raised beds were completely full. We packed it, and then we started putting soil on top of it. Well, now, after the summer, we have about 4 inches of headspace on the top of the raised beds, where everything has just slowly compacted. And that'll happen in a bed anyway. So I hadn't decided yet what I'm going to put in here as far as a soil mixture, but I want it to be really rich, and so that we don't have to mend anything for quite a while. And so when we get into that, we'll bring you along. This is another experiment. We've seen others on YouTube do it, and so we thought we'd give it a try. And I'm going to have a drip irrigation set up in it as well. Thanks for going along with me today. I'm glad to give you a little update on my thriving greenhouse. It's small, it's not a big one, but it's plenty for me. Keeps me busy, and it's very therapeutic. I would really suggest you consider having a greenhouse yourself if at all possible. If you like our channel, please press the like button. Subscribe, that would really help us. And if you want to know what's coming out next, click the bell. It'll let you know another one's there. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.